Christine Artella is going to do all of the introductions of her students as well as one of her colleagues. And the title is, it's a long one, let's see. It's more than a video, engaging students in research through group work and multimedia assignments. So it's all yours.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming and staying, considering that snow that just keeps coming, kind of like an Energizer Bunny out there, isn't it? So we'll welcome, this is a student panel of students who have taken my Crim J 100 course, and they did a public service announcement as part of that course requirement. So they're here to talk about what they learned about it and to share their experiences, their triumphs as well as some of the obstacles that they had to overcome. And we'd like to also open it up to questions at any time. If you have questions as an audience, to please ask them. I'll start off by doing some introductions, telling you a little bit about the assignment, and then we're going to go directly into the questions. And if we have time at the end, we do have one of the examples of the public service announcements that we'll show. If not, you're welcome to join us afterwards, and we have plenty of computers and iPads to show you out as well. So let me start off by introducing Deborah Silman. She is a senior instructor at Penn State New Kensington in biology and is also our campus instructional designer. Guru. I go to her for all of my media. She's invaluable for this assignment as well. Then I have Eric James. He is a junior administration of justice major, and he took this course just this past fall and is captain of our basketball team. Shauna Williams is graduating this semester. She's an applied psychology major, and she also took this course this past fall as an elective. She chose to, not a requirement. And she's going to be in an internship in rehabilitation services for family services, and also has 5 horses. Then over here we have Kaylee Brink. She is a sophomore. She took this course in fall 2011, so she's had a little time away to reflect on it. And she is also our Student Government Association Vice President at Penn State New Kensington. Beside her is Andrew Halotnick. He is graduating this semester. He is an Administration of Justice major, and he is interning at the City of Pittsburgh Police Department right now. And we end up with Jack Ramsey, who is a junior at Penn State New Kensington, Administration of Justice major. He served 2 tours in Iraq as an Army medic. So our students come to us with a great deal of life experience and variety and diversity into this assignment, and they bring it all in. The public service announcement is a project to help bring together scholarly research, writing, critical thinking skills with group work. They pick their own groups, they pick their topic in consultation with me. I developed a prompt with the help of Schreier Institute and DigitalCommons. They were so very instrumental both to help me develop this project. So in there they are told exactly what they do. They're given time milestones. They meet with me as groups. And they develop some wonderful videos, one of which is on domestic violence if we have time. So let's just jump right into it. So I'd like to start with the first question. What did you gain from this assignment? What did you gain from it?
I'll start.
Yes, Andrew, start.
Not very technologically savvy, I gained a lot of experience with using computers, using iMovie to create the movie, using web-based search engines to come up with the research, because throughout high school we pretty much used encyclopedias and Wikipedia for most of our stuff. In college you can't really use those things, and trying to find research through books is one thing, but now with all those search engines that Penn State provides with us, all the databases, we're able to get a huge range of scholarly journals, peer-reviewed articles, things like that to use for our research. So that's one of the things I gained.
Using the group dynamics that we were able to develop, you're able to take these skills that we learned in this project into other classes where they do the similar ones. And even smaller ones are aided by the ability to deal with other people, other backgrounds. You saw how diverse we were, and it's not always easy to connect with people, but with the same class type materials and the abilities, it becomes much easier.
Well, being a senior, I came into the project with quite a bit of research knowledge. I had navigated through the research databases with my other psychology classes, but what I didn't have was multimedia experience. Not very much of it, anyway. And I would consider myself someone that's not very savvy with technology. I didn't have a lot of confidence working with technology, and through this project I was able to gain skills in both of those areas, and I think the most valuable thing for me, even beyond that, was the leadership skills that I gained through working with the project. We were talking about the group dynamics, and I had a group that we had some individuals who weren't quite sure of what they were doing, maybe a little unmotivated, and I was able to step up and emerge as a leader and coordinate the group, and it really came together well.
I would have to say, just being in a group up until this point and being in college, I pretty much did all individual work. Being part of a group with members that I did not know up to this point of my college career, I just met them probably that first week of class, you know, feeding off of their strengths, and that was the biggest thing I learned from it.
Kaylee?
I was a freshman. It was my very first semester in college, whenever I first took this class, and so I knew nobody. So I just chose people that were sitting around me in the classroom, and it turned out that it was probably the worst group I could have chosen. But it taught me how to collaboratively work with a really difficult group, people who didn't necessarily want to be in college. It was kind of where their parents pushed them. They didn't care about a class, it was an elective. So that was definitely an upside to it.
Great. So what about the assignment was supportive or essential to your success?
The faculty help from first Deborah with the Media Commons and all the information she was able to provide, along with the library assistants, research assistants, and Media Commons itself was instrumental in many of our success in the project itself.
I think having deadlines was really essential, because just coming out of high school, we had deadlines, but they were very
Loose.
They were very loose deadlines. You could turn things in late, but have it being my first college class, it was, she emphasized, this needs to be turned in on this time. You need to meet with me by this date, so that really helped.
We were able to meet with Professor Artello at each deadline, and that was also a big help. So we were going the wrong way. We were able to get back on track. So at every deadline, we would meet with her. We were also able to turn in sheets to say how we were feeling about our other group members, and it was all anonymous, so that was even a better way for us to open up about how we felt, and that played a big part for us to get the project done.
I would say the deadlines and the team meetings for sure were a big part of it, and then just all of the technology that we had available to us to take advantage of, the databases, the multimedia commons, which I wasn't very familiar with before, about learning how to use non-copyrighted images and how to cite those. And again, Deborah Stillman was certainly vital to my project's success for sure, because we experienced some technological difficulties. And the other technology that we took advantage of, such as online services like Google Docs and Google Presentations, as well as to collaborate with group members.
Great. Anything else? Okay.
Can I ask
Yes.
just ask whether this project spanned the entire semester? Did it start at the beginning of the semester and was due at the end?
Day one. It started day one. Yes.
Can you give us a better description of how you built your assignment? Are you going to do that sometime, and what that included? It would help us to know how you put that together.
Certainly. I can definitely describe that. What I did, I have a prompt that I give the students, which gives out exactly what it is they're going to be doing. The social science research, that they have to gather 5 scholarly journal articles on this area, that they are going to synthesize a cohesive message about this area, whatever it is. And I give them topics that they can choose from. We then meet the end of the first week is setting your groups up. So we meet as a group and I go, okay, let's exchange information. We talk about what your topic is going to be. Then the next step is they go and they get the library research. Then they come in and they meet with me about the library research. Then we have the DigitalCommons comes in and does a training as to how to develop a, Shauna, what was that called? The storyboard and script. So they're the ones that give them the technical, and then I'm reviewing it for content. I'm the content guru. They come to me with whatever it is that they're having problems with. Whether it's finding the research, understanding the research. Many of them have never seen a research article when they come to this class. Many of them are freshmen, and so helping them read that. And one of the great things, the group sizes are about four to five students in each group, and it starts with the beginning of the semester. They have to do a rough draft, and the rough draft is reviewed by Nick at the DigitalCommons, and he gives comments on technical stuff that I would have no clue on how to improve, like sound or lighting, use of mics. That's not in my area of expertise at all. And then they do a presentation at the end of the semester to the class, which is about 10 minutes, talking about the research, and they show their PSA in that time. And then at the very end, the last day of the semester, they hand in a 5-page reflection paper as to what it is, what the assignment was like for them, what the group process was like, what did they learn, and that really helps me determine what works and what doesn't, because they usually are quite good at describing that process for me. So, yes?
Just out of curiosity, in terms of logistics, did you have to provide cameras, or did everyone have like a phone or something that could use to just record?
Excellent question. I have no clue. What technology did we use?
I can jump in on this one because I think it's an important question. We find with our multimedia projects that it's nice to give the students a choice. If they have their own device, it's nice that they can use it, but we also have quite a few devices that they can sign out from our computer center, and we make sure they're comfortable with that. I think, just to throw this out there, I think it's really important if you're going to introduce a multimedia project that you kind of set the students up a little bit to understand that they're still doing all the same kind of scholarly research they would do if they were writing a paper. It's just that they're going to present it differently, so when it comes time to put it together, they're learning to write in a different way. But I also think it's important to make them see that being digitally literate with that kind of a project, I think, is going to be a bonus to them in the future. So.
Can I add to that, Dr.
Yes.
Tilla? I think one of the easiest tools to use is the flip camera. It's about the size of a cell phone, just a little thicker. They're very easy to use for, especially if you have students who are not very technology savvy. All you have to do is pretty much just press a red button and film. They have a little bit of a zoom, but it's not like an actual digital camera where they're holding the big thing. They've got to worry about sound, light quality. This is just very simple. It fits in the palm of your hand, and they're fairly inexpensive too. If you don't have them in your computer labs and stuff like that, they're fairly inexpensive too.
USB pops out.
Yes.
And on the end of them, they have a USB port. So you can just plug it right into the computer. The files come up, you click and drag, and that's how we did all of ours.
They're very simple to use.
Do you want to share how you edited the materials?
I use my MacBook. iMovies, I think, is perfect for it. You just I uploaded all of the pictures and everything that I was going to use, all of the audio, and you just kind of place them where you want them, and
Our main computer lab also has a Mac station, a workstation there that my group used, so plenty of technology was available for us to do so if we didn't have our own.
My tech guy was a PC, not a Mac, so we ended up using Microsoft Movie Maker. because one, he's made many movies from that before, and he said it was simpler than iMac, but I'm a Mac obviously, so I feel Mac's a better way of going. But that's another type you could use.
And I took a totally different approach. We actually started our project in PowerPoint using still images, and then we put music in the background, recorded a voiceover and transitions, and so we started editing in PowerPoint, did most of our editing in PowerPoint, and then we were having some issues with audio, so I ended up saving everything, all the slides as JPEG images, dragging everything into iMovie, and then had better luck in iMovie, edited mostly in iMovie, and that's where we got our finished product from.
Eric, you have anything?
Pretty much the same thing. I did mine in iMovie.
Great, yes.
I'm curious whether, as far as all this goes and it being a group project, whether you utilized any other tools to communicate with one another as a group, or whether it was always trying to get together in front. And were you sharing these movies somehow as far as the editing? How did you split up the responsibilities amongst your group? Did you use the technology at all to do that, or did you not use the technology to do that?
We actually utilize various modes of technology to communicate. I regularly we were sending text messages between us, emails, Google Docs, like I said, was especially helpful, especially when creating the script and gathering all the research. We could, be working in the same document at the same time because we had some pretty different crazy work schedules going on. And then we actually, before we even brought everything into PowerPoint, we started in Google presentations as well. So we did that. And as far as splitting up responsibilities, we all took a little bit of a different approach on that. But my group in particular, like I said, I sort of emerged in a leadership role and kind of gave responsibilities out to different people and then checked in with them, different group members, and then they collaborated and contacted with me on a regular basis. So.
And that's something that every meeting I check in with. How are you communicating? How's the communication going? Of course, I always set up an angel group for each team right at the beginning. As soon as they pick their teams, it's the first thing I do. What's remarkable is it's never been useful. In the 2 years I've done this project, they have never used it. The first year, I was not even aware of Google Docs, and really, Shauna's group was the one who really showed me the usefulness of it, because like I said, I'm a Luddite. Deborah is wonderful and walks me through everything that I need. But now I think Google Docs is a great way that we'll be sharing a lot more information next year. But Angel has not proved useful at all in doing that kind of communications.
The one thing my group used, because we all had different working schedules, we had 2 juniors and a sophomore, and a freshman in my group. So we were very diverse. We ended up using Facebook a lot to communicate back and forth. We also use Skype on occasion. And the way we divided ours is, we kind of thought about this before going into this. I do not use computers at all. Just to type reports and check email, that's about it. So making a movie, I had no clue what I was doing. The first thing I went after is someone who knew about computers. So I picked an IST major. I grabbed him in my group immediately. So he did most of our editing. I mean, he came to us and asked us, would you rather have this transition over this transition? So he got our input in it. Me and the one freshman, we were good with research. So we did a lot of the research, but we also had the 2 others incorporate their research with us. So let's say we had 10 sources ourselves, and we had the other 2 pick up 5 sources. And then we combined that to come up with the script and the storyboard. And then the 4th member created the storyboard and then did the citations, because she was really good with APA. I came from two different backgrounds, where one of my degrees uses MLA, and my other degree uses APA. So citation wasn't my thing. So really choosing who you're working with is essential. Because like Dr. Artello had us do this personality thing the first week to try to find our strengths and weaknesses on what we're good at and what our weaknesses are. That way when we get our groups together, we have people that balance everything out. That way we can work better as a group and we can learn from each other. Where, you know, I was terrible with computers, my partner Matt was able to help me with the computers, and I was able to help him with the research aspect of it.
I think my group was very similar to Andrew's, except that we didn't ever feel a need to designate a specific leader, which in some groups is definitely needed. We all worked very collaboratively, so I was very lucky in my group, to tell you the truth. It went very smoothly. I did a lot of the planning for the video itself based off of their ideas. We had one of the groups did the storyboard, the other one was very tech savvy, so we did the movie itself. But we all collaborated on every little part, so it was a very cohesive project overall.
For me, my group was a little bit more difficult. At first, we took each other on our word. You said you was gonna do it, that's all we needed to hear, which led to us not doing so good at first. We had a very struggling time in the beginning. We would count on people to bring certain things to the meetings that didn't get turned in, which was a reflection on some of our grades. But once we moved to Google Docs, it was just so much easier. There was no more, I'm waiting on you to get to the meeting, I'm depending on you, we all seen it. You know, we'll probably check it out 2 days before the meeting, look at Google Docs, it's there, we're ready to roll for our meeting with Dr. Artello.
Yeah, make sure everybody has a copy of everything. So like you have a link to all of your resources, all of your articles, everything that you could possibly need, because you know, things happen, you know, things get lost, and so everyone should definitely have all of the resources.
The one thing that's a little challenging with the way we did it is we did it with an intro course. This was CrimJ 100. It was a mixture of freshmen all the way up to seniors. So you have students of all different backgrounds, mindsets, and everything. So trying to figure out groups and work together in group settings when you have people, you know, seniors are going to be a lot different than freshmen, both on, you know, intellectual maturity and personal maturity. If you were to do this in, you know, a 400 class setting where the students are mostly upperclassmen, you wouldn't have as many group issues as if you were doing it in a 100 level classroom.
Unless it's the spring semester. Yes.
I'm wondering how much out-of-class time this project took. I mean, I assume it's on top of everything you've had to do to learn the material, of course. And were there members of the group that, I don't know, work full-time, or that for some other reason you said, this isn't fair that we have to do all this?
Well, one of my group members is a adult student mother, so she had a son to take care of. We actually integrated him into the video, so it was very appropriate that we fell into that category. But I don't think any of us felt that it was too much extra time outside of class. We all expect at least 2 to 3 hours extra for every semester hour we're taking per week. So it's a fairly heavy load, but we know it.
I mean, I know like our group, we had 2 seniors who worked, you know, full time. So trying to figure out working schedules and everything, that's why we incorporated different forms of technology to communicate, you know, Skyping at, you know, 6 o'clock on Tuesday nights to talk about where things are happening. You know, Facebook chat, things like that, just to touch base, because I'm only on campus certain days of the week. You know, the one freshman was there every day. So trying to find time where we can all meet up is challenging, but it's just adapting and overcoming those obstacles, which is one of the things you end up learning eventually through college.
Kaylee, you want to talk about obstacles?
I personally felt like I spent a lot of out-of-class time on this, but it was also because I felt like I was the only person in my group. I had to help with the actual filming, but when it came time to put together the video, I didn't have much help. I was kind of on my own. So I felt like I spent a lot more time outside of class than Andrew and Jack did because they were in the same section. So that was my personal experience, though.
Were they graded as a group or individual?
For certain things, they were graded as a group, and then there were things that were individual. But part of their grade was on group cooperation and group work. And part of that grade came from the anonymous kind of things that they would give feedback on. I also have, it's a small campus, so I can see who's working and who's not working. I also know I ask them questions on their research. I've read the articles, so I'm able to pick up who has done what. And that's also reflected in their grade. The grade for the PSA, the actual thing, video is a group grade. That doesn't change with that, but there are things in it that are individual, and then there are things that are group. So like the paper at the end, that's an individual grade. The group work and part of the group process and communicating well with, getting along well, being a good group worker, that's an individual grade based on the group process. So, but I also am happy to provide this prompt to you, which has all the grading rubrics, has all of the breakdowns and everything, as well as the milestone breakdowns, because I broke it down each. It was not one huge assignment due at the very end, so we had milestones in there that came, I think the first 8 weeks, there was a milestone every other week. So they were meeting with me. The beginning of the semester is very rough on me because I end up having 10 hours of office hours to meet with these 10 different groups, usually in a week. So it is a large commitment on mine, but I've seen some great growth in the students in doing this assignment. Yes?
Where did the students do most of their work? Were you in the Media Commons, the Computer Center, the library, or on your own equipment?
It seemed that a lot of it depended on the topic they chose. My group decided to film at a playground that was close to home for everyone. So we filmed there, but a lot of the research and discussion was on campus.
Eric?
They're pretty much very group to group, and what worked best for you. For me, I live about 3 minutes away from campus, and most of my group members live right on campus. So we would have meetings in each other's rooms. Sometimes I would even invite them down to my house. So it just really varied from group to group.
Were you using the Media Commons equipment?
At the end, when we started to film, we did use the Media Commons a lot. Because for my group, we did green screen, and we provided with that in our Media Commons.
Shauna?
Yeah, initially we didn't take as much advantage of the Media Commons as probably more would have been beneficial for us. My group in particular did most of our group either from home or different areas on campus. Like I said, our schedules were a little bit difficult to coordinate to meet in person, so a lot of times we would be collaborating, working on things from home. But then, like there's a particular office on our campus, the Academic and Career Success Center, where I work, and we would often meet down there and work on the computers down there. And then whenever we did our final version of our video, I actually did on Deborah Silman's iMac.
My IST partner has a complete lab himself practically. I mean, he has literally like 7 computers.
Yes.
So needless to say, he did all the editing and stuff on his own. So we had very little DigitalCommons time. But I know in the planning process, I forget the gentleman's name, but we had one of the support members from DigitalCommons up here.
Nick?
Nick? Okay.
Smirker. Mm-hmm.
We met with him to try to figure out what programs we wanted to use and how to do it and some editing ideas. But we mostly did it on our own. You know, with some of the editing that I had to do or my partner Zach had to do, we used tutorials to help us because we had no idea what we were doing. But most of it was done by the IST partner I had.
I asked because I think at your campus is your Media Commons, your computer center, and your library in the same building.
Yes.
So I was just wondering if you were able to kind of concentrate a lot of your efforts there, but it doesn't really sound like you did. It sounds like you were scattered about as you completed different parts of the project.
Like Eric said, it depends a lot on the group, on who you have. My group was barely on campus, so really it was very challenging in that case. Because the one thing about Penn State and New Kensington is 90% of our campus commutes to and from. We have a very small campus, a very small population that lives on campus. So meeting and stuff like that can be challenging. But like you mentioned, the nice thing about our campus is our DigitalCommons is on the bottom floor, then we have the computer center, and then we have the library, all in one building. So the resources are definitely there. It's just a matter of hopefully having a group that all members are able to meet and utilize those tools.
And I'll just jump in here. I think one of the issues our students face is if they're working on our Media Commons machines, and we do have 3, and they can utilize the Media Commons storage space, which is great because it allows for huge files, but that's the only place their files will reside. So we kind of made them aware of that. If you commit to using the Media Commons storage space and machines, you're committed for your whole project or you have to start over. And I think that might be a bigger issue on a campus like ours where the students aren't resident on campus. They don't want to get...
We have the same issue, the same percent of our campus commutes, and our Media Commons doesn't get used very much, and that's why I was interested with your projects.
I think ours also doesn't get used as much as you would expect for that very reason. I think if the students could get to their files more easily,
that's interesting.
I think that's definitely a factor.
So I'm actually very interested in this discussion because I'm the manager of the Mac labs here at Penn State for student community, so we're in those machines, so I'm really glad to hear this information. It's been a challenge definitely for students to have large amounts of data, like obviously it involves with video, making it portable. We've struggled with this for years, and a lot of departments end up having their students buy an external FireWire hard drive or a large USB drive or something. The problem is that's not always backed up. The advantage of the Media Commons space is that it is backed up. It's not as available, I'll give you that. You lose their drive, out of the backpack or something, but it's definitely a challenge for all schools. We've done a survey of schools, so unfortunately I think it's just they have to carry around a FireWire hard drive, and they can then take it to the Media Commons there and use the storage, and then when they're done, they can copy to their drive and they can take it with them. So they can do the initial editing and capture there and still take it with them. So it's not a great solution, but it is a solution.
And I think as prices come down on that kind of hardware, I think we'll see that happen more and more, but a lot of the students are going to be reluctant to invest in something like that right now.
We see the shift too with the group over here from 2011 and Shauna and Eric from just last fall using Google Docs. I don't think any of the groups in my class did so. Ease of storage there and access anywhere that you have an internet connection is useful, very useful.
The one thing I think too, to add on to, is DigitalCommons being utilized, is one, a lot of students don't know about DigitalCommons. If the students aren't assigned projects outside of papers and PowerPoint presentations, they don't really have a chance to utilize these things. Because if you talk to a lot of your underclassmen, they are not going to probably notice the DigitalCommons as much. I mean, I knew about it before this, but the only reason because of that is because I'm a member of the Line Ambassadors. So that's one of the things we cover on our tours. But if you don't know it's there, you can't really utilize it. So I think if professors started utilizing more ways of doing projects and presentations, the issues of, especially with our two campuses, the DigitalCommons would be used more because there's more use of it. And there's more notification that, hey, it is there for you to use.
I saw a question in the back.
Yeah, did anyone use any open source or web video editing tools like Media or Moto in the class?
Not that I know of.
No.
That might help some of the issues, especially the young lady who was having issues with video editing and she felt she was all alone.
Okay, great.
As an instructor, would you do this assignment again? What I've noticed is the instructors who do multimedia or something with the Media Commons, they don't repeat it. They'll do it 1 or 2 semesters and then they'll feel like, oh my gosh, that was so much work. And then you don't see them having those same assignments anymore.
Well, I'll tell you, it is a challenge. It is definitely a challenge. And I'll tell you what I think, part of the challenge for me, I'm tenure track. So my SRTEs are very important as part of my process. The first year I did this, the students loved it. They loved the project, they loved the process. The vast majority of students enjoyed it. They thought it was better than having 5 exams and that be the basis of their grade plus, homework. In 2012, I had a much larger contingent of freshmen entering. I don't know if that had something. This class was 74% freshmen. This one was 46% freshmen. I had a lot more sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But they hated all the work. Even though it was worth 1/3 of their grade, and because, and that ended up balancing out, especially if you did poorly on some of the exams. But they They were like, oh, why in the world are you making us do this? And the reflection paper should be pretty easy because you're reflecting back on the process. And they said, eliminate the paper. And it's so, no, I'm not giving up on it. I am not, because I'm stubborn, but, and I enjoy the time with the students. Having them come in for their their meetings with me and their groups really helps me to get to know them, to see how they're relating, to see what their strengths are, as well as what they need to work on. So I'm able to help them do that. So I'm not willing to give up on it yet. I still going to give it another try for a third year, and we'll see. And I got a great idea in our discussions over this past couple days that I will assign, they'll change leadership, because that's part of what I want out of this assignment, is for everyone to get a chance to be a leader. And sometimes that happens, like in Jack's group and I think in Andrew's group, there was a changeover in leadership. And when I met with Shauna and Eric's group, I would say, okay, so who's going to do this next? Who's going to be the leader next? No, you guys can't always look to Shauna. I want to know who's going to step up here. And the other 4 young ladies were looking down and no one would have eye contact with me. Well, I think I'm going to take, my little card of benevolent dictator and go, okay, so this is going to happen. You have a choice of which one you get to do, but you will choose one. So, but I think that might also add a little bit more to the assignment so they don't feel as overwhelmed as...
If I may add something too, I did a project like this again my second fall semester, and the experience I had with Dr. Ortello's project made making our own deadlines, because there were no benchmarks for what we had to do when we made our own, and it was much easier to pace ourselves and complete the project ahead of time by almost a month from when it was due the second time we did it, because of the experience.
Yeah, and I think the way that Dr. Ortello has set this up, there are so many times we have seen that students are not prepared for heavy assignments in the 300 and 400 level class ranges because of the way that the 1 and 2s have gone. If you challenge your students and push them a little bit harder in that 100 and 200 level, it better prepares them for the 300 and 400 level. I can say right now, I'm a senior, I graduate in May. I have to write my capstone paper to graduate. Because of the way Dr. Ortello and the other professors in my major have pushed me in writing and researching, it has prepared me to write my 30-page capstone paper a lot easier. The one thing that a lot of students don't realize coming into college, that this is college. This is no longer high school. It's a little harder than most would think. It's not about partying and going out. It's about learning and preparing yourself for the real world. I'm working with the Pittsburgh State Police right now. I have to write, read and write papers. I work with the public information officer. The news that you hear on the radio, and the TV show, on the news stations, I saw that. I read those reports from the police officers and typed up the press releases. It prepares you for the real world. If your students don't think they're going to do a lot of writing in the real world, please, your duty as professors is to call their bluff right now, because it's not true. Everything we've done in this project and all the other projects has given us a real world perspective on what is expected of us after graduation.
Can you put that on YouTube just like you said?
I think it just went out, didn't it?
Well, actually, this is being streamed, so I'm hoping. Yeah, I'm putting this on my website as a faculty, going, guys, you want to know why I make you do this? It's not simply to torture you.
And not only that, I think the videos need to continue, because each semester we get to review videos from last semester, not only to get some ideas, but to have a little competition. And we're going to one-up the videos from last semester, so they're just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
My question is how you, as a teacher, match both the articles and the topics, the PSAs, with your other course curricular content?
I give them a list of topics, but I want them to choose something that's very dear to them. So, for example, I had Andrew's topic was homelessness. part of their topic in choosing that, how does that connect to criminal justice? And when they did their presentation, they talked about the fact that certain crimes they become illegal because vagrancy, public urination. And how does that end up impacting their ability then to go get a job? And public urination now is a sex crime. Well, that's not good. So that ends up having, Jack's group did children of incarcerated parents. So talking about the unintended consequences of mass incarceration with children who lose a parent to prison, some lose both. And their video was about a mentoring program. Kaylee's video came about because of the young man that was charged in adult court when he was 9 for killing his stepmother. And so it was all about juvenile justice and who are the kids that end up coming into the system. Shauna did domestic violence, and it's her video that I have on the crime, if you would like to, if we have time to see it. And then Eric's was very interesting because he talked about poverty and the impact on education, and how does that then impact the life course of an individual and their trajectory, and how their daily lives are so different and the inequality that ends up leading to it. This all is coming because I try and be very interdisciplinary in my approach to this introduction class of criminal justice, that it's not just cops, courts, and prisons. It's much more than that, and where do we end up going into? So that's how I kind of try and weave them in, but I try and have them have some agency in that so that they know it's their education and they need to step up for it, because we know this already. We got our PhDs or our master's degrees. Now it's their turn, so that's how I did it.
Are you the only professor for this class?
Yes.
So
at New Kensington.
At your campus, right? So they don't have a choice. If they want to take this program, they're going to go through you. So
Yes.
There's no way around it.
Is that a good thing or bad thing, Kaylee?
Good thing.
I would add too on the making it our own, making us look at the journal articles from a basic topic into the effects it's going to, an incarceration on one person is going to have on the life for 50 or 60 years on a 9-year-old kid. It brings it very much into perspective for an 18-year, 19-year-old freshman versus someone like myself. I was 27 when I took the class. It was a very different perspective than the freshman had.
Just out of curiosity, did you show these in class, or were they posted to YouTube, or do you have any thoughts on that?
Both. They're on YouTube. I have it as a private channel so that it's not open to everybody, and then we show them in class. Now, I have shared them, of course, with some other ones, and if the students give me permission, I like to highlight them on the AOJ website for Penn State New Kensington, as well as the Penn State New Kensington, to showcase their work. We every year, and then we also have a research expo, and Shauna's video is being entered this year. So, and every year I try and tell them, hey, who's going to win the best PSA this year? We vote as students. Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think our year we had 4 different categories.
Yes, we did have 4 different categories. Yeah, we went down to 1.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yes.
It got a little out of hand. We had one that was most comical.
Yeah, we're never doing that one again.
And it was good, but
It's a little too comical.
it's a little too comical for some of us.
Mm-hmm.
But the nice thing is it's a different way of presenting to a class. Let's face it, you as professors probably get tired of reading papers and grading papers all the time.
And talking to us.
Lectures are great, but after a while it gets old for a lot of you and us. This went, and PowerPoints, those went out before 2000 came along. So it's nice to have something a little different to spice things up, and to be honest, it keeps our interest. Being able to watch something, I'm a visual learner. Being able to watch something and learn from it really helped me, because reading a book didn't. Mm-hmm. So this was a great way to get things across to your students in a way that's both creative, fun, and educational.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hope that if you're interested in this assignment and would like the prompt, my email is KMA, KMA21, KMA21 at psu.edu. So please feel free to email me and I will share my materials with you. I'd be happy to do that. I truly do enjoy doing the assignment, even though it eats my entire fall semester. It's really a lot of fun, and I get to know these students, and I get to come to a conference with these students and bring them up and show them off. So if you want to see the video, you can join us. We're going to walk outside, and we have iPads and that kind of stuff to show you if you'd like to join us. So thank you very much.